All right. Good morning, everybody. We are live. It is Tuesday morning. It's the 4th of July.
Independence Day.
Go ahead, America. America, your move, America.
I remember the speech from the actual movie Independence Day.
Yeah, a speech that could never be given by demented old Joe Biden, but there we go.
But it was a great speech nonetheless. Can you not forget?
All right, look who's here, everybody. I'm very excited about this. He makes a triumphant return to the studio, none other than Mumbalula Lalaleho.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. People are saying Julius Caesar, as he strides back from defeating the Gauls, is back. Thanks for having me back, Gareth.
Oh, sure, of course. People love you, and they've been asking for you. And I hate to admit it because the audience actually know what they're talking about. And they've been saying to me for, I don't know, like a year.
Yeah.
Where is this guy? What happened to him? And I've just been saying, well, he did get fat.
Yeah.
But
that's a lie.
No one believed me.
Yeah.
No one believed me that you got fat. In fact, the first thing he said, Bakh'abantu, is that, I've never been fat.
I'm in immaculate condition.
Whoa.
No.
That's a direct hurt.
Pristine.
Oh, pristine, not immaculate. Correction.
What the fuck is that?
Wow, fuck off.
Ryan is like activating stuff. This is your theme music.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
That's what I hear in the background here. I was like, who's activated this stuff? This starts playing through. I'm going to kill that. Ryan, don't interfere in the show. Anyway, it's good to see you.
Great to be here.
And apart from thriving physically, you said that your body fat percentage is at 10%.
10% because I'm working out, right
fantastic.
now. We're looking to run 100 mile at the end of the year, maybe.
Where is this?
Cape Town.
Oh, okay.
If I don't do that, I'll run.
People run in Cape Town. I thought everything there is quite slow.
No, we do the work up here.
And haven't you been traumatized enough being like robbed at gunpoint in Cape Town? You really want to do that again?
Listen, as we can see with things like load shedding in this country, the classes need to get back on top. So we got there was no load shedding when we were running.
You're not going to get any argument from Bakh'abantu on that.
Of course, come on, ultimate closer guy here.
Are you saying that since you handed over to the Zulus and the vendors, everything's gone to the toilet? I mean, that's not tribal warfare.
No, it's not tribal warfare, guys. We use Shaka, pushing hard. Like guys watch Shaka, so I'm not gonna,
because everybody knows they upset the Zulus.
You don't upset the Zulus. They run the
Everybody
taxis.
knows.
They run the taxis.
No.
Your shit,
All right.
your shit where you, what do you call it? Your shit where you eat.
Where you eat. So I had no water at home for yesterday. I took a shower in the morning, and the pressure was piss poor. It was it was dribbling out, and I was like, "What the hell's going on here? I hope my geyser hasn't burst again." And then they send this message. I don't know how this has ever become acceptable in South Africa. And someone was saying to me the other day, we should be angrier than we are. Because look at this. On our neighborhood group, which I hate being on this thing anyway.
Wait, how many carrots do you have there?
But they say here, where is this thing? Dear resident, please note that Rand Water reduced water flow due to capacity issues on their side. What does that mean?
That
means nothing. And then they said, don't worry, everything will be fine. We've sent tankers with water, so I can take my bucket and I can go and collect water like I'm living in the 1400s, and I must go to the stream because the municipality can't get their shit together.
Now we're shitting each other. Like load shedding, okay, whatever. Water. And what I got to do, an MR, and now I must bring
Exactly.
No, come on, guys. There's Banana Republic and there's no water coming out of my shower.
Actual Banana Republic, you guys cannot provide services for your people. This is what I've been telling you. The ANC wants to take us back. Okay, no.
Here we go. Starting strong.
The ANC wants to take us back to the villages. Imagine now you're in Joburg.
Because the only people who still vote for them are the poor, uneducated people in villages.
Exactly.
So what they reckon is, well, let's turn everyone into those.
Yeah. There's a term, right?
It's a strategy.
Strategy.
Give them credit. It's a strategy. It's a terrible strategy. It's going to plunge us back into the Middle Ages. But it's what they've got. It's all they've got. That's all they have.
Devolution does not exist. It's not a real scientific thing. But the ANC is really practicing de-evolutionizing us. Right. This country, we're going back to the Stone Ages. But again, like Mulelo said, bring back the closest, guys. We ran it for 10 years. Ran it proper.
When was the last time you showered?
During the Mbeki administration. No. No, I went to gym last night, and I will shower again later today. But I'm not like a problem. I changed clothes.
Well, we got to address this. Yeah, okay. You're reacting
stinky.
like I shouldn't be asking you this.
A lot of people only wash once or twice in a week in this country. No, a lot of people in this country do. We've got because people they don't have time, and where do they get all this water that you're talking about? I don't have any.
No, fair dinkum. All right, but I mean, let's get a shower in today.
What's irritating is that everything, like your toilet system, is empty, right? So you have to then find water somewhere else. One of these, I don't know, tankers that they're sending.
No, man. Near
the tennis, they say to me in the message, but don't worry. There will be tankers at the tennis courts here and here. I'm like, my life will never be so shit that I have to go with a bucket to the tennis courts. And if that makes me sound superior, too bad. Then I am.
No, you're not. What you are is a citizen, a middle-class citizen in 2023 in a relatively stable country. You're not superior for taking water in your shower.
What are basic services?
Bongi says in the comments, today is not about you and your shithole country. Today is all about America. Bongi, in the quiet words of the Virgin Mary, come again?
No, but like, check this out. If we're talking about water in Cape Town, right?
Yeah.
Like Cape Town, the dams are full because they've been piss poor rain, but they still have water alerts. They're like, the dams are overflowing, but we still have a water crisis. How is this possible? Services are not being run, guys. Even your so-called DA is not providing water to people.
These politicians. I did a TV interview yesterday, which I'll let you know when it airs.
Okay.
The guy was like, well, whatever happened to you wanting to be in politics? Because there was a point in my life where I thought that would be a good idea. I was like, are you out of your mind? What a horrible, pointless, thankless task where all these people do is pursue power. They're not interested in delivering anything to the public. I don't give a shit about that stuff. So that's just not an area of interest to me. But these politicians, we've got to find a way to bring them down. We've got to bring these motherfuckers
100%.
down. Really.
100%.
And it's not just elections. The rest of the time, we must be undermining them. And look at this quickly, just while we're all getting angry about this stuff. Ryan sent me this clip. Apparently, a blue light brigade pulled over some car on the highway here in Joburg yesterday. And there's a lot of violence here. You've got to see this to believe it. These guys essentially beat these people. They stomped on their heads. They had their guns with them just in case, because they might not be strong enough to handle two ordinary members of the public. Because South Africans are quite dangerous, actually. Sure. And if you're in the VIP protection service, that's no guarantee that you're fitter or stronger than anyone else. But look at this. I mean, the fact that this can happen, again, reinforcing what Bakh'abantu just said about Banana Republic. When you see this shit happening, watch this.
Oh my gosh. Honey, look what's happening here. Lord, come on!
Now, you know what they did? They disturbed them. This ones, they can kill you. This ones, they will kill you. I don't know, there's cops, these ones. You see? Is this one going to raise up now?
He's fainted. Dude, get up. Oh my word.
Look at the beers in the back, in the car. They destroyed the car now.
He's scared.
Situations. I don't know what happened here, what incited this, but this is Banana Republic. These people have a divine right to drive on the road.
Well,
maybe this guy was driving slow.
I make a point, and maybe I'll stop doing it now that I've seen this. But whenever those guys drive past me, I put up the middle finger automatically. Whether it's Cyril, whether it's
because they run people out of the road.
Didi Mabuza's gone. Who's it now? It's Paul Mashatile.
Yes.
Because who knows? These guys change all the time, and we don't know who's who, and all they do is swap portfolios, but they don't know anything about what they're doing. I don't care. I'm not being nice to any of them, and I'm not going to be respectful any more of politicians. No protocol observed bullshit going on here.
No. Like they don't deserve our respect. And here's the thing for me about these guys, right? Is it's now no different. It's becoming so clear that we're living in a sort of Noriega-style Panama. It's crazy how the criminality.
Yeah, but you're right.
But the criminality on their side, like that is Noriega.
The latest we've got on this story is from IOL. They say the police have opened an investigation after a video of SAPS officers armed to the teeth showed them beating a Gauteng motorist and 2 others in an incident believed to have arisen from an on-road driving dispute. Oh, really?
But isn't that an ANC classic? Fellow South Africans, we are investigating ourselves. Following the extensive investigation, we will compile a report following ourselves, reporting on ourselves. Like,
no, you forgot the buzzword. You forgot a commission of inquiry, comrades. A commission of inquiry. That's the buzzword.
All right, well, there it is. Something for you to get angry about this morning. Now we've ticked that box.
Yes.
Let's move. I do hope that these people who were involved in this thing actually come forward and press charges themselves, because obviously they are the primary interlocutors in this situation. They need to be accounted for. We need to know who they are. So if you know who these people are, or if you are these people, please come forward. We will make sure the people of this country will not allow you to be terrorized. And we'll get these disgusting people who do this kind of thing fired.
Oh, wait, let me be the code guy. Do unto the ANC what the ANC government did to the apartheid government.
Right. Well, those are the words of
Mandela
and of Desmond Tutu.
Yeah,
the only 2 really famous and proud South Africans we can still be proud of.
Exactly. And Xhosa? Just saying.
Both. Both. All right, thank you. We've got some tribalism going on this morning. But Mbulelo, there are lots of comments here from people. Very happy to hear from you again.
Oh, fantastic.
So first of all, someone says, everyone is very, very good morning from Viasan, but he says mostly to Mbulelo. Snaye says, oh my God, it's Mbulelo. Good morning. Very happy to see Mbulelo, says Sweet Pea. So there's lots and lots of love for you here.
This is great. It's good to be back. It's and I'm as good as ever. Hey, like I don't want you to think I've fallen off.
Well, we wouldn't have
invited.
If we thought you were a failure, we wouldn't have invited you to the show. Are you trying to rearrange the camera around Mbulelo here? Or what's going on? Oh, you are. That's what you're doing here. Ryan's. There we go. It looks fine, Ryan. I promise you, it looks good. And I am more interested in the people who are listening. We have far more people listening on podcasts than we do people watching on YouTube. So if you are on YouTube, like and subscribe. But I don't really care.
So again, let's read between the lines what Gareth just said. Like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And
otherwise, I promise you, I'll can it. I'll can the YouTube.
No.
We'll only have podcasting again the way it should be. I'm a purist.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go back to the old ways.
Yeah, here's something interesting for you guys. Some of the classes in government include Fikile and Gwede. Is that what we want?
I'll address that. I'm happy to take that one. Listen. Every rule, right? Even in the sciences, there's always an exception to the rule.
Yeah.
So, for instance, Themba Bavuma, Gwede Mantashe, these are not representatives of the classes as a whole. Don't make the exception to the rule.
Who they are.
No. Don't make the exception to the rule. No, I mean, how much time do we have? We've only got 2 hours for the show.
If we start now, we won't end.
You know what I mean? So those are exceptions to the rule.
Come on, we gave you freedom, Gareth. What more do you want? Nelson Mandela, we gave you freedom.
All right, fair enough. We,
the closer people.
Yeah, because you were alive when he was in jail, were you?
Yes. I was alive fighting the struggle, struggle envy, like Julius Malema. I have that.
Speaking of which, Mel says I saw a post yesterday with Ramaphosa urging the Youth League to go back to the 80s and 90s and start a revolution. Well, I mean, the Youth League was a thing in the 80s and 90s. It's no longer a thing. The Youth League moved to the EFF, and now they're too old to be called Youth League.
Is Fikile still in the Youth League? Because there was a...
Oh, my God. Do you remember?
No.
Wasn't even heading it up for a while in his 40s?
No, he at some point was the story with Fikile. He was in the Youth League, and then he got a bit rambunctious.
Mm-hmm.
So then the elders called him, Nelson Mandela and all of the Thabo Mbeki. It was like, hey, Chief, you didn't go to the mountain. This is the problem.
Right.
And then they took him to the mountain at age 27.
And that was so humiliating for him because... And it's been bothering him ever since. Yeah. It's a big problem in his mind.
And now he looks like a granny. He identifies as
He does, with those glasses, those horn-rimmed glasses. Bulelo, someone wants to know, Congo Chris says, Themba Bavuma, why are you going at him? What did he ever do?
Oh, he's not a great cricketer, so I don't want to... we've got Sia Kolisi doing the right thing, and then Temba's out here failing our name.
Well,
for shame.
Let's look at a quick news story. We're really hitting it hard this morning. There's no room. By the way, JJ Cornish will be joining us later on, and a lot of people have been asking about Revix because they put out a press release the other day, which we're going to chat to Sean Sanders about a little bit later on. Some people very worried about their investments with Revix, but Sean assures us that they have things under control. He will explain everything a little bit later on. And that's why we have the relationships that we do, not only with our listeners, but with our sponsors. We want people who spend money here and people who spend money with our sponsors to feel assured that there's some trust going on there. So we're going to get Sean on. He's going to explain what happened, and he's going to give us all the details. So don't worry about any of that. If you've been waiting for something to be said, he was absolutely ready to come on last week, and they've been sorting out some things, and he's ready to talk to us today. So he will be on later, as well as JJ Cornish for Africanalysis. So all of that's coming up. But first things first, there's this story in the news, which I'm very keen to hear both of you comment on, Bulelo and Bakh'abantu. So first of all, Portia Modise has hit back at the criticism of Banyana Banyana players in the wake of a match boycott. So Banyana boycotted their final home game with Botswana before the FIFA World Cup just recently. And the former captain, Portia Modise, said those criticizing the national women's soccer team lacked understanding and empathy for the work they did. And in that line, everything you need to know about why women's sport is not as big a deal as men's sport is revealed, because nobody watches sport out of empathy and understanding. Mm-hmm. People watch sport to see winning and losing. And if you don't understand that, Portia, you should not have ever been involved in sport. You should have been working for an NGO that helps, I don't know, children with an extra limb or people who can't fart through their asshole or something like that.
People without a bonus hole.
Sport, and I'm sorry that this morning is all guys in the studio, but we've had many days where we've discussed this in the studio. I'll never forget when Lebang came on the show and she was all over this Banyana thing saying, oh, we've got to support Banyana Banyana. And I said to her, name one player, and she couldn't, of course, because it's all virtue signaling. So let's stop doing this. No one actually cares that they boycotted their match. I didn't know about this until this morning. But the fact that she says it's lack of understanding and empathy, they don't understand. This woman doesn't understand what sport is. You go first.
Well, she has a lack of understanding. Maybe she has a ton of empathy. She needs to balance those scales.
And who cares? Like, empathy is not always handy.
So I grew up in a Boer school, right? I'm going to hand over to you, Mbulele. But I grew up in a Boer school. Like, sports is about gees. I don't care what's happening. It's about gees. So, like, but like women's sports doesn't have gees.
I don't know anything about sport, but I know more than this.
Yeah, exactly. So, Mbulele, go ahead, man.
Go for it. He's been warming up on the sidelines for this one for a long time.
No, listen. On this one, so I've spent the last year producing the #1 show in Africa, by the way, on SuperSport. No big deal, whatever. Still winning.
Oh, you just dropped that in there.
Yeah, no big deal.
Very
Super
nice.
Picks, you can catch it on SuperSport.
Very good.
Whatever. I'm always #1. Right. So I worked with her quite a bit. So she's quite an interesting figure. But I agree with you about the winning thing. So I don't want to come on here and, oh my God, I watch women's football. I don't.
No.
But what they did do is win. All I ask for them is just take them seriously. I'm not saying we need to make them into like Michael Phelps. They need to be taken seriously because they won. They are the African champions. So
why did they not play their match? What's the story?
No, because your comrades at SAFA refused to pay them.
Yes. Now, okay, this changes things.
Yeah. The comrades at
all right. So, okay. First of all, I still don't care about the fight. Second of all, I still am not going to watch. But I have to take the opportunity to criticize that band of crooks and criminals and derelicts that run South African football. These are among the most piss poor people you will meet in a given lifetime. And it is no wonder to me that they haven't paid the women's football team. They probably haven't paid anyone except themselves since they took over there. I bet you there are cleaners who are waiting for a salary from 2 years ago at that place.
But it's not just SAFA. It's SAFA, it's the rugby union, it's a cricket union.
Well, anywhere with their sports administration.
Exactly.
You know why?
Daniel, you're done because there's a politician catered deployment. Same old
because
story.
The politicians put their friends into sports admin jobs because there's no real consequence to screwing up a sport admin job.
Yeah.
So that's where you put your most useless cousin or uncle or someone's best friend who they, hid in the house of during the struggle. That person gets a job in sports administration because The stakes are not so high.
Yeah.
So we don't get an extra silver at the Olympics, so put them in Sascock. That's fine.
But do you remember when the sports administration and all these stuff was run well? Of course, the guy ran it. I forgot his name. He was a fat man. He was a fat man, very fat, cute, cuddly man. When he ran it, like
Stofile.
You see, you can even go back. There was another one. But like when we ran this stuff, and when Graham Smith caught fire over the cricket thing, because apparently he was being racist by actually structuring the team based on strength and not based on race, instead of the quotas that they hit. Instead of like, what's the point of having 70% black people team if they can't play the sport?
Well, we've got to talk about that because we mentioned it's the 4th of July, but the U.S. Supreme Court just this week struck down affirmative action.
Yeah.
And I think I couldn't wish for a better group of people than the ones in the studio now to discuss this with, because I cannot help but thinking that the two of you will have fiery opinions on this. Whether you'll agree or disagree with me or each other is a whole different story. But in sport, it's clear that merit should be the only thing that matters, especially now, a couple of years later. I don't care how many white guys are in the football team, and I don't know how many there are, and I've never counted them. I'm not, again, the best person to comment on this, but we want teams that win. And if you don't have winning, everything else falls by the wayside. Nobody cares about the constituent parts of this or who administers it or how much money comes in or goes out. If we have the best people, people will watch, the sport will make money, and then they can run it better. Everything flows from winning in sport. Absolutely. Surely, right? I mean, you're the guy when it comes to this, Mbulelo.
We must separate participation in sport. So people often confuse what's happening with their little son, girl, and boy with the very top level. At the top level, I am only interested in zero sum. You win or you lose. It's not Montessori. It's not participation.
And I do agree with you. Like at school, it's fine for everybody to feel included and, the best kid to sometimes have to play on the B team. It's good to learn some sportsmanship and humility. We've all been through that, blah, blah, blah. But when you're playing national and provincial sport at the highest level, you're expected to be the best.
I don't need the best black player. I need a sportsman.
No.
I don't need what do you call this thing? I don't need you to look nice or to look good for the camera or have diversity. I need the best guy for the best job. I don't need...
It's funny how the people who are always calling for this shit are never the ones who... They've got no mandate from anyone, first of all. No one's sitting around saying, well, we need... And it's usually like white college-educated women who come out and say, we need more diversity and more
rich white chicks are the problem in that space.
Because they've got a guilt complex because they feel they don't really do much. And again, we're generalizing here, but in America in particular, there's a cadre of people who don't do a lot. They spend their husband's money. They take part in Tupperware clubs and shit like that. And I think they feel
they home administrators.
They feel kind of guilty when they turn on the TV at night and they see that the inner cities are a horrible place to live and that people don't have enough of this or that, or the cost of living's gone up. And then they project that out into the world by making things more complicated for the very people they're trying to help. So I want to ask you both about this because we don't have to stick to it for a long time. But this whole idea that in America, they gave it, I think, a window period of some 25 years or something. And the Supreme Court's decided, and the majority opinion was actually written by Clarence Thomas, a black judge, and a very fine judge at that.
I have opinions about Clarence Thomas.
Sure, lots of people do. Politically, he may not be your cup of tea, but as a legal mind, unassailable.
Yes.
And his criticism of Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is the dissenting opinion, that is just an absolute clubbing of seals. He reveals in his majority opinion just the most contemptuous and cutting, biting, vicious assault on her lack of jurisprudence. It is an exceptionally well-written judgment. Even if you don't care about politics and you don't care about America and you don't care about law, it is worth reading just for the language this man uses. And I wonder how you guys feel about that if in South Africa it isn't time for a review of this stuff too. Because I know so many people, and this is why it came up in America, is there are so many black people who are feeling like actually this is now counterproductive to them. They're doing extraordinary things, but they're still being judged as an affirmative action appointment.
No, I have comments on something you said there, Gareth. There's a lot of feelings involved, and like we should never run stuff on feelings. We should be pragmatic about stuff. Then number two, so you keep like how you describe, like I also read the judgment and the legal document. You say biting, vicious or whatnot. It's not vicious. Those are hardcore facts.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I don't mean
like facts.
I don't mean he's like personally assaulting.
Yeah,
us,
exactly. You know? But like but now someone can take it as in, but this guy was going out for this person. No, he was pointing out facts, and facts were delivered. And facts are not biased. Facts are not left. They're not right. They are facts. It's law. It's documented history. But in terms of South Africa, I said last week with Sis Phumi, but Sis Phumi, the ANC was a liberation party. They did their 10-year stint. They should have liberated us, transitioned us from from apartheid up until the 10 years. So when we get to 10 years, we have educated minds that are where we should have trained in that 10 years. We have people that have been to school in that 10 years. We have black doctors, if there weren't black doctors before. We have black teachers. We have black minds. We have all these things. So we have the Thabo Mbekis, because they also did, sorry to digress, but like, to prove that the ANC is not a governing party, when Nelson Mandela wanted to start the Umkhonto weSizwe, he went because he realized that the whole activist and knowledge thing about conscientizing people, which was the Bantu, like Steve Biko Bantu side, or let's conscientize black people, let's pick it and like no blankets and whatnot. But let's stop the conscientizing. We need an armed struggle. That's what Nelson Mandela went. That's when they started going into exile and learning how to fight and all these stuff, right? But then Albert Luthuli called him. He's like, dude, the ANC, the African National Congress, is not a fighting party. It's a liberation movement. It's a conscientizing movement. I forgot the other word that he used. So, but what I can do for you, instead of you starting out and going branching, I can provide resources where you can start a branch of the ANC that will be reportable to us, because we're an activist group and we can keep our people in line, but you will call it Umkhonto weSizwe. That's why the MK things. But then after Nelson Mandela becomes president of the ANC, MK gets and MK vets get rolled into the main branch of the ANC. That's why we have these cadres that feel like they fought for the struggle and they want their money. They want their thing.
Yeah, you hear about the veterans the whole time.
Exactly.
Like
but they're not a governing party.
35-year-old veterans. Yeah. Like, huh?
They're not a governing party, because Albert Luthuli is the same guy. Albert Luthuli and Govan Mbeki were these same educated guys that sent Thabo Mbeki out to the UK. And then Thabo Mbeki was called a coconut when he went out there to learn economics and run this business pragmatically, which is what we needed. So after 10 years, Gareth, ANC, move out the fucking way. And then
okay, well, Bulelo, what do you say? Because you're holding back on us this morning.
No. I think it's the America one is something else. But I do think it's important that I'm liberal, and I'm very worried about liberal people, hyper-liberalism, because it exercises the worst form of something called Cartesian thinking, right? So the problem with rich white chick always saying, "Ach, shame the blacks," or
comes from empathy and understanding. By the way, no, it does.
Yeah,
it does.
So, but this Cartesian thinking says this, right? So René Descartes, blah blah blah, think therefore I am that guy, said something about women. He said women are lower than men because they can only experience trauma. Where men are unique is they can experience trauma, process it, and overcome it. So what's happening?
That's not fair.
No,
you surely don't believe that.
No. René Descartes,
every woman in the audience is going to be on your case.
No, a table full of guys. Mulelo just said women are lower than men.
We're going to be cancelled.
Well, I'm not René Descartes. The problem with men is you don't listen because you guys don't have empathy.
No, I hear you. I'm just preempting. I'm preempting the other people who don't listen.
Yes. No, but it's happening in this case again. Is these liberal white chicks.
Well, in America, that's the cohort that does.
Well, you say that. I mean, I encounter so many of them in this very country, Gareth. I promise you, they live in Camps Bay and they're very rich. They're living on dad's money.
Well.
Oh my God, somebody said that to me the other night. Like a grown-up. No, a grown-up said, "What school did you go to?" Blah, blah, blah. We roll that out. That's why your English is so good. I thought it's impossible.
Yeah.
Anyway, like
but let's move on, because we've been down this road before.
Exactly.
Of course, you can tell by this stage, everyone who's listening can tell that it's absolutely true that the only reason these two are in the studio is because of affirmative action.
And we speak
I needed two people who could just sit there like a lummox.
Cliff Central needed to be black. It was too white.
Exactly. Yeah. So all right, finish the thought about Descartes.
But what these liberals is aren't allowing those what they call oppressed people to do is to now process the trauma. It's like, okay, I've gone through trauma. I actually can process it. I am neurologically capable of going, that was awful. All right, let us as a community solve it. You're now imposing your trauma and guilt onto the structures that are meant to liberate me.
It's all about them.
It's mental.
Almost always what you find is that the people who are trying to help come in two varieties. There are the actual people who are trying to help, who get their hands dirty and, you know, heavy lifting and, you know, do whatever it is that's required to make other people's lives better. And sometimes it's not a very glamorous thing.
Yeah.
And you get the ones who stand on the sidelines and want to seem like they're doing something nice for other people, but they have no mandate from those said people. They have no relationships with said people. It's always at an arm's length, and they actually end up normally doing more damage than good.
It's largely performative. And
Correct.
That's what worries me about generally liberal people, is they like to sit in circles and talk about things, right? These philosophers that think they're so much better than everyone, as opposed to the people that want to get stuck in. So being liberal is getting harder and harder, to be completely honest with you, as with any extreme, right? But it's just...
You have to now, I'm sure you'll agree with me, define yourself not only as, you have to say almost like you're an old school liberal.
Yeah.
Because if you use that word without qualification now, people think, well, he must be an idiot. You know, because a lot of these people who are professing that they are liberals in some way, shape, or form are actually just woke. Just morons.
Right, exactly. The irony is you can't use the word liberal liberally.
That's pretty ironic.
But I want to touch on what you were saying about...
by the way, Ntokozo says, glad to see Mbulelo is still Mbulelo.
You better believe it.
I think he means like quoting philosophers and that sort of stuff, which you used to do. What is MKT trying to sneak up onto is called mind-body dualism, where your identity is what you think and not what you are.
Yes. I mean, because I'm intelligent, I already knew that. I just didn't want to address it.
You can't go saying you're intelligent. That's...
people say that to you, people
really,
don't... You don't say that about yourself.
I mean... No, he does.
No, whether
You've forgotten what we're dealing with here.
No, whether I say it or not doesn't make it any less true. Like, there's no prizes for humility, you know? Anyway, on the quote sort of thing is, we don't need it when the people at the top do their job. Like you see it in America. Why are all the athletes black? Because people do their job, and
it's not because people rise to the top.
It's simple as that. But when you've got your comrades who are just running a mom and pop shop for what should be a serious business, then of course the privileged people will continue to get to the top because they're serious. Like there are serious people.
I think you're exactly right.
So
this ruling related specifically to college admissions, which in America, again, there are so many twisted and messed up ways of these colleges have endowments that are like the size of some countries' budgets, right? Like Harvard and Yale and Stanford and Columbia have so much money that if they spent $1 million on each student this year, they'd still have enough money to run for the next 15 years without any government funding, but they take government money as well. So the government has a say. You know, if it's a private institution, the government doesn't always have a say. But what's interesting about this is that if you are, let's say, because you submit an essay along with your results, if you get your SAT scores, which they've downgraded, and you say in your SAT scores, well, I grew up poor in Detroit.
Yeah.
My mother was she worked in the railways or whatever. My father was a manual laborer.
Bus driver or something.
Yeah, they'll put you in there and they'll give you a leg up because people go, well, this guy's clearly smart. We could see by his test scores, but he's had a tough life, so we'll put him in. Or he could be an athlete. So he gets you know how those work.
Yeah.
In America, there are just enormous opportunities for anyone who's got any physical talent. And it could be fencing, and it could even be chess. And it could be like if you're really, really spectacularly good at something, they want you badly in these colleges.
Absolutely.
And then you get the group of people whose parents were at this college, right? Legacy. Or their parents made a big donation.
Donations.
Or they come from the right sort of family that's politically connected. And those people, they may be complete dummies, but they also get in. And what we should do in this situation is make it very transparent. So, all right, you come from a rich family whose 4 generations have been at Harvard.
Yes.
It's going to cost you $50 million to come and slay, but because you're a dummy, all right? So they'll never do this, but it would be fun to do. Like, you can come in here because you come from this background, but it's going to cost you a bit more than it'll cost the other students.
Yes.
Then everybody will be fine.
Yeah, because your great-great-grandfather owned people.
Because the college will say, well, we're getting this huge amount of money, which we can spend on all kinds of other things.
So we can afford the dummies.
So we can afford 7 or 8 dummies this year. Let's take them from those rich families. Do you understand?
100%. I love it.
Exactly. We fixed this problem. But like to bring the college thing back at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's this practice in South Africa. It's also about affirmative action. So when I was doing matric, I come from a Hoërskool Kraddock. So I have home.
You keep bringing this up like you're proud of it.
Yeah. No, I'm not proud of it, but like someone. So when I sat with Narupa Naidu, who was the head of School of Accounting at WITS, and she explained to me that I am not black. I'm like, what do you mean?
What?
This Indian lady tells me that I'm not black. She's like, let me break it down to you. So in terms of how the South African system works, in terms of affirmative action, they get money for how many black people they put into the school, right? So you have quotas. So the APS amount of like points you need to hit to get into a good university, right?
Mm-hmm.
So black people get extra points and they get a bonus from the government for getting those black people from impoverished and previously disadvantaged things.
Okay, so then they're incentivized to.
Exactly, they're incentivized to. And they also have to hit quotas, right? So it has to be, like, I don't know, 20% black from a quintile wine school, 30% black.
I love that. Imagine being one of these people who does this. It's like those people who used to do the pencil tests back in the day.
Exactly.
They're like, let's determine how black or how colored or how white this person
exactly.
is.
So
and they will determine how white, how colored, how black the school is.
Yes.
How poor, how unfortunate, how under-resourced the school is. And all of this gets calculated by some bureaucrat who then decides, well, we're going to send that person. And it's got nothing to do with that person. And they're sitting there going, why the hell am I being sent to Stellenbosch?
Yes.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to go there in the first place.
Kondiso does not want to be at Stellenbosch.
Right. Well, maybe he does. I mean, who knows? But I think it's interesting to have this conversation because South Africans don't talk about this stuff enough. And if we did, maybe we'd get past like door stopping ourselves.
Couldn't agree more.
And stumbling over obstacles. Bakh'abantu found a guy on Instagram. I just love this because this guy can fix anything.
We need these people in life.
So who is this guy? Give him a plug because this is the kind of person we need.
Guys, I got friended by Mr. Malan Baba. I need to get his full name. So his tag is Abdullah Maimimu.
He must
85.
Must be from like West Africa somewhere, right?
Right? He's from Africa. Yeah. That's what we care about.
Well, I'm saying he's probably a Nigerian. Because those people do not say no to an opportunity or a job.
So Malan Baba Natia.
Okay.
His profile reads, he's a blogger, number one. That's his job title. His profile reads, if you are facing problems in your life, kindly text me on WhatsApp. Any problems.
Any problem.
So he will fix something. If your car's got a bumper bashing,
just WhatsApp him.
What else can he do? What has he shown that he can do?
So there's pictures on his Instagram page. There's a guy who got a Merc. There's a guy who got a bag of money. There's
there's guy's on the right track.
I think he got someone married at some point.
You know what I bet? I bet there's a Banyana player who lives near Gareth and doesn't have water. Could he solve both of her problems? You know what I mean?
Get me to stop being mean about Banyana and also get her water. Those are two problems.
Right. We need Malan Baba Abduyatia. This man can fix any problem. You need what? Africans are starving here?
Well,
call this guy.
I do think, since we were talking about like college admissions and going to university, I do think that there is a gap in South Africa for people who can fix things.
Yes.
People who can just so let's say you need a light bulb changed, but then you find out it's the actual socket of the light bulb. I mean, I had someone come and fix a geyser that burst a couple of months ago. And then the guy who was there to fix it put the geyser in and he said, you could do with some fixing of the ceiling here. It doesn't look so great. There's a crack over there. And so I asked him, well, how much? He's like, thumb sucks. He goes, I'll do it for 500-600 rand. So I'm like, deal, go for it. He started immediately. He was done. I paid him. The roof looks better than ever. I'm happy. He's happy.
Amazing.
I like people who can get shit done.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah. No,
That's what we need in this country.
Plus, I kind of like that he swindled you because your roof was probably fine.
Yeah, I was probably all right.
But
yeah. But let me tell you,
the problem.
it looks good now.
Amazing.
And everything works.
Amazing.
And that to me is worth shelling out some cash for. I love people who get things done. So this guy deserved the plug. All right. We've got JJ Cornish coming on just now. We've got a lot of other stuff that we want to talk about. And we've already covered so much territory. But I know that among the things that we are going to discuss is the Oppenheimer movie. That is J. Robert Oppenheimer, the guy who started the Manhattan Project, helped develop the atom bomb. The movie's coming out. It is a stellar cast, according to Bakh'abantu. He says it's definitely a movie you've got to watch. So we'll talk about that because everyone's talking about other stupid movies like we discussed with Pumi last Thursday, the Barbie movie, which I won't go and see.
Yeah.
I know you'll go and see it.
Kill me now.
Okay, but
Kill me
the
now.
Oppenheimer movie's coming out. This guy was an absolute genius.
Dude.
Hero. One of my heroes.
Dude.
A complicated human being, but an absolute genius. So we got to talk
Again, we need
about
to
him.
separate the person from the work.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. But what a smart guy.
Oh,
Apparently he flew to Holland to make a speech about nuclear physics. Landed in Holland, not speaking a word of Dutch. Delivered an entire speech in Dutch and got on the plane and went back home.
that's outrageous.
That's a level of clever that,
But doesn't shock me when you see his resume. Again, his work is just
Jesus, what a clever man.
scientific. Oh.
Unbelievable. So they're making a movie about him. Well, they've made a movie about him. It's coming out this week.
Yeah,
This
no,
week.
it's coming out the same day as Barbie.
Oh, well,
Funny enough.
Very important that you got some tough choices to make.
So do people still go to movies? Sorry, like
like
the theater. Have I told you why I can't stand it?
Well, other people, because I
Yes,
know what
probably.
you're
Well,
like.
for one,
people.
but I mean, now I got what I would pay a gajillion rand for. Right, is
It's good
a
to have you
cinema
back.
where you can't come in if you're below the age of 30. Right, no cell phone.
This is a guy who used to, let's just remember everybody, he moved into a complex just because they had a rule that there were no children and no animals allowed.
God, what a pleasure that was. I've subsequently moved to a place where there's just bloody rapscallions running everywhere, screaming at the top of their
So,
bloody
you thought I
voices.
was curmudgeonly, eh? Bakh'abantu?
Oh, dude. I
mean, this is a new
feel,
level.
You see, you told me I'm a what? Old man trapped in a young man's body.
Yeah.
This man is pristine condition. Old man trapped in a
But
pristine
Deep inside of
condition
him is a
body.
tiny wizened, like,
Like you got that Benjamin Button.
but hear my pitch, right?
all right.
You pay 200 extra rand. So if you're in America, $15 extra, $10 extra, whatever it is in the cinema, you have to leave your cell phone at the door
Mhm.
and you cannot be below the age of 30 because these 17-year-olds on their phone in the
During
movie.
the movie, yeah.
Like, I want to strangle you.
Yeah, look, that's unacceptable.
But it's like,
But you don't go anymore.
No,
to
I
the
refuse.
movies.
No,
So
this is
saving
mental.
yourself the trouble.
Yeah.
Dude, you got to find ways of making your life better. And going to sit in the movies with people who are on their phones the whole time is just a pointless exercise.
I have found this. I will marry rich. I think I've told you this before.
That's it.
I want
you
to
got to find the right one.
Yeah.
Home cinema.
Yeah, home cinema. Like she's just got that like 60 million settlement from her husband, and we shack it up.
Yeah, that's all right. That's a good one. I think you could probably pick up some of those. There are a lot of them floating around, actually.
You're telling me, Gareth.
Like that woman in White Lotus, was Jennifer Coolidge.
Mhm.
That's what you're going for. Tons of Stifler's mom with tons of cash.
Well, that was a throwback.
Well,
Stifler's mom.
Congo Chris says, why don't we talk about how the Indiana Jones franchise is now in the toilet? Well, I think
We did.
we
that.
discussed that yesterday, Chris, and I don't want to gild the lily, but I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan, but I have no interest in watching the new one.
She's
Because
like 400.
yeah, exactly. Who wants to watch that?
Do they CGI him young?
Yes,
I think they do.
they do. They
no,
de-aged him.
man.
Hmm.
They also de-aged Mad Mikkelsen.
Who?
Like Mads
Yeah,
Mikkelsen.
he's brilliant.
Who the hell's that?
What do you mean? Who the
Mads
hell? That's
Mikkelsen.
Hannibal. That's Hannibal. This man is one of the best actors in the world. Who the hell is that? Mads
He-
Mikkelsen.
Hang on, let me look this person up.
he's-
I honestly don't know who
He
you're
was
talking about.
Christopher Waltz before Christopher. He's a worse actor.
He's
Christopher
the villain
Waltz. He's a
in every
knockoff.
movie.
Christopher Waltz.
He's a
yeah.
knockoff. I think he's an upgrade.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads
Yeah.
Mikkelsen.
Hang on a second. I'm going to put this picture up for everybody. He's the bad guy, is he?
Yeah, he's the bad guy. In every movie you've watched where there's a guy with an accent, he's probably Mads Mikkelsen, and he's probably killing it.
What is he? Let me guess. He's a Nazi.
Yeah, in the movie, probably he is a Nazi.
We've begun to scrape so low that if someone isn't a Nazi, they can't be a bad guy.
well, according to the Eat, Pray, Love women, if you're Russian, you're a bad guy.
Mads Mikkelsen, there he is.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Well, I didn't know who that was, but there he is. Okay, so
Look
he's
at
the
his
bad
resume.
guy.
He's Hannibal. He did a show called Hannibal. It's bloody brilliant.
Okay. I feel educated now. Thank you. All right, let us turn our attention to Africanalysis, which is for some people the absolute highlight of their week. I got a nice email from somebody saying that they only listen for JJ Cornish. So I'm not even offended by that because I totally understand it.
He's brilliant.
He's brilliant. And Africanalysis is brought to you by the Johannesburg Business School, who are also brilliant. They like to keep an eye on what is happening around the African continent. They also like to pay attention to things could lead to business opportunities on this continent of ours, which is burgeoning and has the youngest consumer population in the world that is unsaturated. So if there's ever an opportunity, it has to be here. So let's find out from JJ Cornish what's happening. JJ, so nice to see you. How are you?
Bonjour. Just let me complete this call. Thanks so much for writing in, Auntie Edna. Your check is in the mail. I'm very well, thanks, Gareth. Very, very well. Any better, I'd have to tell the cops, eh?
Well, yeah, just be careful. It's not that blue light brigade or you get beaten up on the highway. JJ, let's get straight to something which I wouldn't have known about if it wasn't for you and LJ Fenter, who told me about the Wagner Group long before anyone else was talking about them and long before they threatened Vladimir Putin and then were very quickly put in their place. What will happen to the Wagner mercenary operations in Africa as Russia tightens the screws on them? What do you think is going to happen? I mean, in places like the Central African Republic, South Sudan, Congo, they're pretty much all over the place causing trouble. What, are they going to suddenly be called back home?
Well, Burkina Faso, Mali's the most important one as it happens right now. Mali kicked out the French. And yesterday, we'll talk about that now, they voted, the Security Council voted to end its peacekeeping operation in Mali. Well, the Wagner people who are behind Yevgeny Prigozhin were actually given three choices. Go home, sign a deal, sign a contract with the defense minister, or demobilize. The fact is now that the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said no, they will continue their operations in Central African Republic and in Mali, certainly. In both cases, they've been accused of war crimes there, and the people being indicted. But around the world now, the countries that hate the Wagner Group for moving in on these two countries, particularly those two countries, are the US is bringing in sanctions, the France, which was the country booted out, and interestingly, the country that wrote the drafted the resolution that will end the peacekeeping operation there, they are all having a go at the Wagner Group. But now we don't know because, Vladimir Putin doesn't want to have this private army under the control of the
former chef.
Yevgeny Prigozhin. He doesn't want them there, but the fact is they are, well, he's a former hot dog salesman, and in fact Putin, he was never Putin's chef, but Putin used to use his hot dog stand and take foreign guests there. He was so proud of it. That's why he got the nickname Putin's chef. The fact is, though, that their operations, they bring in a lot of resources. They strip the country bare and bring that into Russia. And then it's been argued that the Wagner Group has been bringing in money that has helped Russia in its operations in the Ukraine. So, what is keeping Prigozhin alive is the fact that he controls these people. I'm sure that Vladimir Putin, and this will not fill you with shock and horror, I'm sure, would have bumped Yevgeny off long ago if once he'd shown his muscle in this way or shown his spite in this way. But if he controls the Wagner people who are in Africa at this time, and it seems their ganking is getting out of Mali faster than it was planning to do. France has got out. But the fact is, though, they are there, and the countries involved are much. So if there is this dichotomy between the two, that will be difficult for but the United States, Germany, France, the EU particularly, are all trying to work ways that will allow these countries who need Wagner at this time to fight the jihadis, but allow them to be able to get rid of Wagner. But Wagner doesn't want to leave because, as I say, they're getting enormously rich. And that is exactly why Prigozhin made his mutiny, because if these guys have to sign a deal with the military, then he will lose his paycheck. He will lose his job. You know, the parallel with Sudan is incredible.
He may also, as you've already said, he'd also lose his life. I mean, he's in Belarus at the moment, and we know Vladimir Putin doesn't mind putting a bit of polonium in your tea if he doesn't need you anymore. But as you say, he does still need him in order to control these groups while they're still in Africa.
Imagine how terrified Prigozhin must be every time a Russian-looking man carrying an umbrella gets near him in a crowded place. He must be absolutely terrified. The fact is, though, that he does control them, and if he'd lost his livelihood, you know, that was exactly why the parallels with Sudan are quite incredible, because you have this irregular force fighting the army itself. And I mean, if we got that kind of split up in Russia, I don't think it could be allowed to happen. But, you know, you see what is happening in Sudan and how it is literally destroying that country. This is what you have when you have mercenaries or an irregular force come up against the standing army.
No, it's a very ugly situation, and I don't think there's going to be any meaningful resolution anytime soon. But you have to also just have a little bit of sympathy for all those people who got hugely excited about this Prigozhin guy taking over and displacing Vladimir Putin, because they were, especially in the American media, they were all like, oh, well, this is great news, anything but Putin. But this guy's a real warlord. He's a proper street fighting gangster, isn't he?
Well, he was in jail for petty crimes in the last days of the Soviet government. And then he got out. Then he, as I say, opened his hot dog stand, which was pretty successful. And he's now a very, very rich man. He's made lots and lots of deals. So, you know, he has the capacity. Once you have that kind of money to hide or to secure himself. You know, it's interesting what Belarus has done in that country to broker a sort of a standoff. Putin right now is saying, no, we would have stopped them, whatever they did. But had they arrived in Moscow, the kind of low resistance there had been to them in all the other places they've been to, makes one wonder. I mean, the mind boggles thinking, you know, we would never, if 3 weeks ago I said there's going to be a mutiny and Putin will be threatened, you'll say, take that man off the air. He's obviously been drinking his aftershave, you know.
But a bit of a damp squib in the long run anyway. And let's face it, I mean, you know, Prigozhin and the Wagner Group have as many human rights atrocities laid at their feet on this continent as possibly Putin does in Europe and Ukraine. So neither of them are good people. Let's just be very clear about that.
Oh, absolutely. Very good. Yeah.
JJ, what about I very seldom care about what the UN does, but I'll pretend to care for this morning, and maybe you can help me understand why I should. But the UN Security Council has voted unanimously to end a 10-year peacekeeping mission in Mali. You mentioned Mali earlier. You also mentioned the EU and the Germans and the French. So what the hell's going on in Mali? Who's actually in charge? And do the UN have any clout there?
Well, none now, because they're moving their peacekeepers out. They've had peacekeepers. Look, France, of course, saved Mali from a coup. There was a coup, and France restored order there. But the Malians have now got rid of the French and brought in the Wagner Group. Now, France is the pen holder being the group, the country that determines or writes the resolutions and so on a particular area. And France does that for Africa at the United Nations Security Council. So having been given the boot in Mali, it writes the resolution that will get peacekeepers, UN peacekeepers out. Of course, the Malian junta is calling for them to leave. Now, France is saying, okay, you want them out, we'll get them out. And they are now leaving. The fact is that Mali cannot contain the jihadis. And certainly the Wagner Group are so busy clearing all the resources out of Mali for their own profit to actually do the fighting that they're required to do. And at this time, Mali is going to need help. And that is what countries like Germany, countries like the United States are not getting going down too hard on the Mali junta, because they're hoping that they will in fact hold their election that they promised next year. But they know that if the Sahel's going to work, they've got to get rid of the jihadis. They've got to address that problem, which is, of course, as much a social problem as a military problem. And they are working now. They can't work through Mali, who don't want anything to do with them. They've got to work and are working more and more through Niger. And so that will be interesting, but it is an absolute mess, what is happening in the Sahel. You know, we had the 5 Sahel countries grouping together to fight the jihadis. But that grouping was actually put together by the French. The French had taken an approach that, you know, very strong arm approach. You've got to strike these the jihadis where it hurts most, a military solution. But anybody who looks at what is happening there knows that it's social issues that they have to address as much as military issues. Many of the people who call themselves jihadis are in fact people who are without work and are offered some kind of future through the Islamic Front or other jihadi groups. And so, you know, until you address those social problems, you won't get rid of the military threat.
Yeah, it's something ironic also about the French offering a military solution. A bunch of surrender monkeys, but okay. JJ, what about just this other thing that the EU are involved in? They seem to have their fingers in all kinds of pies, and maybe they want them there and maybe they don't. But apparently they're going to be sending election observers. They'll be the first group to send election observers to Zimbabwe. Yes, because you guys might not know this. People who are listening this morning might not know this. Next month is Zimbabwean election time.
Okay. And JJ, I'd like to know whether you think any of those boxes will be stuffed well before.
You know, the fact is, I've actually been observer in several elections in Zimbabwe. Once I went there and with a group that actually hadn't been invited, but sent observers nonetheless. And eventually they targeted me because they knew me as a journalist. And I knew Robert Mugabe quite well. I used to go and take tea with him. But that didn't help me against his security.
You sound like an objective election observer. No wonder these elections were such a disaster for the last 8 times.
What the hell was in that tea?
So eventually I snuck out because I thought I'd save the team that I was with, you know, from any further problems. And then I tried to sneak back in as a journalist, and I got captured at the border and interrogated there for a day and given a very hard time. Until eventually I said I was coming in as a tourist, and eventually the guy interrogating me looked at me with these sharp eyes and said, "No, you are a journalist about your business." You know, that sounded like a child rapist or something. But the fact is, the EU are going to be there, and I don't know. I think what I'm hearing, Chamisa's echoing Tsvangirai's words. Emerson Mnangagwa is standing again. They have 11 candidates. When I talk about wandering around Africa, alternating between hope and despair, I think that's the mood that Zimbabweans will go to the polls on. Hope and despair, because I've seen elections actually get stolen in that country.
Imagine,
I'm not saying it can't happen again.
But imagine being a Zimbabwean who's obviously living in South Africa because no Zimbabweans are living in Zimbabwe anymore. And you hear about the EU from Brussels sending a delegation. I mean, the most competent of all bureaucracies, except that they're not, sending a bunch of people to watch that the ballots aren't stuffed when the thing that's happening, the ballots being stuffed, is happening in a room that the EU are not invited to be in. This is going to be great. It's just such a win.
And one of the candidates is called the crocodile.
Yeah. It's just terrific.
The fact is, you see, you've got to, with elections like this, I mean, observers like myself go in for 2 weeks. And quite frankly, we don't see everything. We see a lot, but not everything. And this has been proven in places like, well, would you have nobody do it and then just have people run riot? We come to this position.
It seems to result in exactly the same thing.
I think it is better to try something than not to try at all. I don't think a why bother approach is helpful. I think we should, and the fact is that the EU have not a bad record as election observers, but you have long-term observers who go in for 3 months. So they'll go in now and start speaking to opposition parties. If there is something wrong, they will know it because the opposition parties will be pointing out things to them right now, and then they will stay there longer than the short-term observers. So I don't know which South African groups will go there, but it is better, Gareth, we've got to admit that to have somebody looking on than to have nobody looking on at all.
Well,
and then
as long as it isn't performative, because we've got enough of that going on in the world right now. And if they're going to do things, these long-term observers sound like they're the kind of people we need in there. The short-term ones, perhaps, probably not as much. Who knows? I mean, you've actually been there. I'm not going to argue with you.
Go to the polls, on the polling day and see. And in the case of Zimbabwe, I've actually seen. I worked as a journalist in Zimbabwe for a while, many years back. So I knew the area I was looking at. And there's an area, Lake McElwain, around just near Harare. And I went to speak to the opposition who had won the constituency. When I came back, they were preparing to announce that ZANU-PF had won it. And I went to speak to the election observer, heading the South African team, and it was the minister at the time. And I said, this is happening. And she said, well, there's nothing we can do. We're about to announce that they were free and fair, these elections, unless we can get some evidence. So I went to speak to Morgan Tsvangirai and said, you're going to have to give evidence to the observers. I've heard that this is happening. I know in one constituency, I've actually seen the theft myself. And he looked at me and said, I don't have to be told what to do by journalists.
Oh, boy, okay.
I turned around and walked out of the building. What could I do?
Bulelo wants to ask you one quick thing before we go, JJ.
Yeah, JJ, before we let you know, let you go. I just want to let you know that the only thing of justice that you've spoken about was you being interrogated, because that serves you bloody right for having tea with Robert Mugabe. As much as I love you, and I truly do love you, JJ, but you should never have had tea. And bloody hell, I hope he pulled the glove out and went.
Oh, charming. You know what he used to say? Look, I mean, I did military training like the rest, so the horrors you mentioned, don't make my eyes water. But the fact is, I used to sit on the balcony, or was sitting on the balcony with him, and he had these two very mangy stuffed lions. And he said to me, are you scared of my lions? And I said, I don't believe I am, Mr. President. And he said, good. Good. Oh, wow. I wasn't scared of his lion. But I think the message was, then you'd better be scared of me. Now, I got to know him well over, I met him back in 1977, I think, in Maputo. And then at Lancaster House in 79. So I got to know him fairly well. But none of this helped me when I fell foul of his security people who felt that I was writing and saying the wrong things about his government.
Thank you, JJ. Always good to have you on. And you won't get personal stories like that from any other journalists, I'll tell you that much, because most of them won't tell you that they had tea with Mugabe or that they were actually observing an election where there was crooked stuff going on. But we get all the sides from you, so we appreciate that very much. And obviously, we'll check in with you again very, very soon for more updates. Thank you, JJ Cornish. and the Johannesburg Business School for sharing Africanalysis with us this morning. It is after 7. Wow, we've just run over. This happens with JJ sometimes. We must stop it. We must be disciplined cadres.
Yes, like those the guys that stopped him at the border.
Must observe all protocol.
Exactly. So we'll take a break and then we'll come back.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
One of the things that people have kind of spotlighted the most is that there's just there's certain issues that have come with kind of the infotainment systems that are on the market right now. One being there's menus and menus and menus hidden behind different menus and menus and menus.
The simplicity's gone.
And as soon as you start removing buttons, for instance, then you have that problem just gets compounded. So do you think that infotainment systems should not be? Do you think they should be done by, like, for instance, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto right now is kind of the wave.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Oh, yes. There's this motorization that you can add to almost any of the products. So yes, you can sit back, press a button. Nowadays, you can put it on your home automation. You can put timers on it, so it can operate manually.
Oh, my word.
It used to be wired pre-COVID.
Yeah.
That was the thing, but lately it's all wireless. So the installation is fairly easy. You put it in, battery operated, lithium-ion batteries. That can give you
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, Bob's your uncle. There you've got your blind operating.
So you can just wake up in the morning and your blinds are open.
Yes, you can do that. Yeah.
I'm Jaco Voigt, the CEO of Catalytic, and this is Unbundled Boost, a series specifically created to boost business in South Africa by letting passionate and committed business people share their stories. In this episode, we're chatting about blinds and shutters for homes and business. We're chatting about manufacturing, how to choose the best product, and in what's happening at Decorex in August. I'm joined by Petrus van der Westhuizen, Managing Director for Focus Blinds and Shutters.
Cool. All right, let's get on with it. We've got lots to do and lots to talk about and lots to think about this morning. Bulelo is with us after a long absence on the show. He's made a triumphant return. Bakh'abantu's here as well, and we are waiting to hear from you in the comments section. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe, etc., etc. People tell me that's important, so we have to do it. Otherwise, we'll just can YouTube.
It's good influencer talk there. I like it.
You see why you know what I'm doing.
Oh.
I'm obviously an influencer.
I feel influenced.
I saw an influencer yesterday. I saw a girl busy with a selfie stick, posing and like taking pictures of herself in a park.
Yeah.
It was hilarious to watch. She was so dedicated to the craft. She was busy like lifting one leg and then tilting her head slightly to the one side, and she was influencing to the max.
So I want to tell you something in that regard, right? That makes me sick to my stomach, Gareth. It makes me absolutely sick to my stomach because I do have to compliment you, and it makes me sick. I really don't.
Oh, you have to compliment me.
Yes, I take no joy. But because I worked with them on the number one show on Supersport, no big deal.
All right,
I was the producer.
Yes,
whatever.
Sure.
Don't make it a thing. Otherwise, it becomes a thing.
Of course.
And what I have realized is You yourself and the great John Burks are the last two real influencers outside of shout out Madiba, who's the lead causer, you know.
I think he was slightly on a different plane.
Yeah, but
okay.
Okay, did Madiba have Instagram? No. So how could he?
Very good. Imagine. Today we are going to do some influencing.
But have you seen the behind the pictures of these influencers type? Have you seen the behind the pictures where you see them? So it's a great pose, and then they do the booty, like especially the chicks, they do the booty and the whatnot, and you see they're standing in these awkward poses that no human does, where they go and then it looks so good, and then they're still what is it, face tune that shit.
You know what? You can poo them and dismiss them as much as you like. They do great pictures. I can't do pictures like that. Yep. I will admit, you've got to be humble enough to admit where you don't know what you're talking about. And these influencers, shame, they'll get into a pool in the middle of winter in a bikini and they'll pose there and they'll get, hashtag slay queen, and they'll attract all kinds of attention from men who have lots of money who will pay for their board and lodging for a year. I can't do that. You can't do that.
Absolutely
you can't
not.
do that.
No,
please.
And they get paid. Hey, let me tell you. So I've worked at an agency for the last year. There's dum-dums at the top who just think, let's get relevant fast. Michelle, get someone relevant. Doesn't matter. Are they just get them? Get them. We get the hashtags together. And the gals,
you
the
shutting up in
gals.
these. You shut up during these meetings.
Oh, but the amount of circling back. I've walked out of meetings. The amount of sense check me and like. Oh, have you not heard sense?
What does sense check me?
I heard it in a corporate meeting.
What?
Yeah. Please just make sure you sense.
Okay, wait. Everybody stop. Let's get into this.
So,
what is this?
So, to make sure you seem smart is you say, all right, so the numbers are 676 and we'll get Michelle to do this. Please just sense check me for you guys, obviously, as I go along, just so I know I'm in the right place. So it's to say, am I right? And just make sure that my thinking's correct. So you announce to the room, sense check me.
Oh, so it's a way of avoiding responsibility.
Yes. Yeah.
That's all that is.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
It's corporate bullshit. But there's so
Right.
much of it.
You've never heard that before, Bakh'abantu?
I've never heard sense checking.
No,
I use check my math, but okay, like
I honestly, when I hear things like sense check me, I'm so thrilled that I don't work in a big corporation.
No,
and I feel desperate. I feel desperately sorry for people who have to put up with that nonsense language.
Why are you like underselling us short, Gareth? We run a big corporation here, cliffcentral.com. Like and subscribe. No. We have a big building.
We're influencers.
we're influencing people. Yeah, we're running a very serious business.
I want to finish off on the influence thing though. When people hear that I have worked with you, it's still one of the things that genuinely, you're one of the few people that I'm like, I met so-and-so, whatever, some rich guy, whatever. They're like, oh, that's cool. When I say I met Gareth Cliff, people still ask, what's he like? And very few people ask that about anyone. So I just wanted to tell you, your name's still.
What do you say is most important? what do you say?
I still get, is Gareth from Idols?
No, I say he's absolutely dreadful and he doesn't believe in human rights.
There we go.
And then we move on,
No, he's a Nazi. He's Hitler's supreme race. Blonde hair, blue eyes.
Can you imagine?
Oh, he's the bad guy.
I don't know why. People always assume that you would have a completely different personality. I mean, I think we're fairly close. If you're doing 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, it used to be 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's very hard to create a complete alter ego.
Agreed.
So it's strange to me how I'm there. I'm more available than most people for you to get to know. Like I'm definitely doing more than the average person who you walk past in the street. If you want to know what I think, how I feel about certain things, what kinds of things make me laugh, what doesn't. I mean, there's loads of material. And people go, the question they ask is, what's he really like? I'm like, there's a way to find out.
Yeah. YouTube.com plug.
Jeez, you're doing, you know what, you're doing the most for plugging the YouTube.
No. Like and subscribe, comment, find out what Gareth is really like.
Okay, so let's talk about the Oppenheimer movie, because I know both of you are massive fans of the actual man who lived. He was a pretty weird human being, though, from what I've heard. Super, super smart. Absolutely brilliant guy. This is J. Robert Oppenheimer. Came from a wealthy Upper West Side family. Reform Jewish, which is interesting because the Reform Jewish movement was new when he joined it. Clearly went to some of the best schools, had a towering intellect and ability to just didactic memory, all that stuff. Clearly also someone who had deep thoughts about things. Supposedly he's the guy who said when the bomb was first tested at Los Alamos or somewhere in the Nevada desert, I can't remember which.
Desert, I think it Los Alamos.
He's the guy who said from the Bhagavad Gita, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds, which is pretty profound.
Wow.
Now, I think, very few people manage to actually say the right thing at the right time. And if he did say that, who knows? But it seems like one of those profound and incredible moments where, the man meets the moment.
Oh, my God.
And to develop something as awful, awesome, or inspiring as the atomic bomb, which would be put to use just a few months later, right?
Yeah.
In horrific fashion in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and gave the guy the most tremendous feeling of guilt afterwards. I mean, he never had actually used the word guilt, but he did take responsibility, were his words, for the atomic bomb. Now, I mean, what do you think of this? Are you going to see the movie? What are you expecting? What do you guys want to add about this guy? Because I find this topic fascinating and novel. I've never really paid much attention to him before.
Oh, wait, can I jump in?
Go on.
No, with Oppenheimer, he never admitted guilt, but he did say like he has become death. He did have, I think, an amount of regret, but there's this line.
You would too if you.
Yeah, but there's this line, but like it was the World War II. It was an arms race. He said when they started testing out this thing, the Nazis or the bad guys in this case, which Hitler was really the bad guy, guys, contrary to popular belief.
and truly,
and someone was gonna make the atomic bomb.
And the race was against the Nazis.
Exactly.
At that point, it wasn't against
because the Nazis,
the Russians.
Because Britain was trying to crack the Enigma code at this time. The Manhattan Project had to lose. We were at war against the world, and we needed a weapon. It's terrifying what he did. No one has topped the atomic bomb. It's been dropped twice, Nagasaki and Hiroshima. It took years to like nuclear weaponry is what? Weapon of mass destruction, WMDs. What he did is brilliant, and it's scientifically brilliant. He managed to weaponize something that we didn't know could be weaponized. But what do you call it? A good guy to go Donald Trump. What do you prefer? A good guy with the gun or a bad guy with the gun?
Yeah. Well, is America the good guy with the gun anymore?
Well, in that case, they were.
Yeah, you got to ask.
In that case, they were.
Got to ask. But I mean, these are good questions, and I'm just pleased that we're talking about a movie that we're actually excited about for a change, instead of criticizing it. Bulelo, I know you've got stuff to say about this.
No, I think unless you understand how science works, is that most things in scientific advancement actually happen by mistake. People think scientists sit in a room and go, all right, we're going to figure out the genetics of a duck today. No, that's not what they're doing. They're doing extremely complex experiments, but a lot of our advancements are by mistake. Alexander Fleming, the whole moss story, whatever, that's not what he was looking for. He didn't, So in this case, we mustn't undermine the great scientific advancements from the work he did. Don't become outcomes based, And of course, what happened was, I mean, my God, but it's got a context. But the scientific advancements from some of the work he did changed the world forever in a positive light as well. So he's a hero of mine. But my God, obviously we know Nagasaki.
Well, I mean, he did put the brakes on fairly shortly after that and said, okay, we don't need to go to the H bomb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, let's stop here. Fission's fine. Fusion, not so sure we want to do that.
And I mean, remember, we look at him through probably a romantic lens. As the Americans turned on him in the end because,
Well, also they associated him with the communists.
His
brother was a communist, and the communists were actually handing over military secrets from Los Alamos laboratories to the Soviets, which enabled them to catch up fairly quickly to what the Americans were doing. And maybe he was the leak. We still don't know.
Yeah,
we still don't know. But
communists say they will ruin everything.
bloody commies. but yeah, no. But to go back to the movie's got a stellar cast, directed by Christopher Nolan.
So who's Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy. This man is brilliant. Right. So Cillian Murphy, Peaky Blinders. For anyone who's ever watched that, he kills. I think it's 5-6 seasons of Peaky Blinders. This man is good. So Cillian Murphy is Oppenheimer. It has Robert Downey Jr., directed by Christopher Nolan. it's going to be stellar. People that have pre-screened it have walked out of the theater saying it's not a horror movie, but what we saw there, it's not a documentary also, but it's horrific. People are traumatized because the calamity and the science and the brilliance of this man, he changed the world when he created the atomic bomb. But you have to separate the work from the man.
There's Cillian Murphy. So he's the guy, exactly the person you were describing from Peaky Blinders. Very good actor. I'm sure he'll do an excellent job. I think everybody's excited about this.
How long
I wonder
is
if they're more excited about it than they are about Barbie. I don't know how long it
comes
is.
out the same day
that
as
is
Barbie.
Nolan's movies.
So that's a good question, because if they're too long,
No, Nolan does that. He'll give you 3-hour movies. Like,
it's
Christ.
over the top.
Unless it's like Lord of the Rings. I'm not saying for like nothing's good enough to be on for 3 hours.
Okay, come on. Okay. What is good enough to be on for 3 hours?
I've just told you, Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Okay. Let's go action movies. Like, it's a desk full of gents. It's a desk full of gents. What's the last good action?
You mentioned John Wick.
Yeah.
I love those movies, but I didn't need to see an extra hour.
No. In fact, the beauty of John Wick is. Do you know what I hate? I want to tell you. You'll be shocked. By this.
Another thing that Mbulelo hates.
Wow, newsflash, Mbulelo hates something.
Mbulelo's only been on the show one day since the last time he was here, which is ages ago. And he's already given us a list of 25,310 things he hates.
Producer Ryan, you should put up a ticker there. Like every time Mbulelo says he hates something, like ting.
Yeah. All right, but go on.
Forget about affirmative action. Forget about world hunger. Forget about these things. These are not what's important. What's important to address is the fact that stop putting love stories in freaking action films. John Wick's unbelievable. You kill his dog. The man's on a rampage. 75 minutes later, I'm out of the movie theater. Fantastic. No bullshit. No sordid story about how he loved this woman and now she's in it for no reason.
You got to have a reason. You got to try to cater for everybody.
What a load of shit. Keep that on your crappy, like
soap operas.
All the bullshit with Scarlett Johansson or whatever people are churning out.
Okay.
Action films do not need a love story. They need guns, an angry man or woman, and let's roll credits. Love it.
Peter says, more MKT, please. Agreeing with you. Hollywood wants every cent from everyone, says Fatima.
Fair income.
That's why they do it. Bulelo is my spirit animal, says Carl.
Things I used to say in the comments, guys.
Okay. There we go. All right, so Bakh'abantu has something he wants to talk about this morning, which is the enhanced games. And this is not novel to this show. Bulelo will back me up on this. I've always said we need to have a parallel set of games where people can take all of the drugs.
Yes.
They can get all of the enhancements, bionic ones, implants, heart exploding steroids.
Let's go for it.
Stuff that sends so many endorphins coursing through your
blood.
system.
What's that thing Charlie Sheen took? Tiger blood?
Tiger blood. In other words, straight after you've done your race, your heart explodes.
Yes.
But you've broken every record and it's been phenomenal to watch. And people go, what? How fast was that?
Yes.
Okay. One of the greatest athletes ever to ever do it. Granted, we cancelled him. Lance Armstrong. He won 7
Why was
Tour
he
de
cancelled
France?
again?
No, because he cheated. He has one testicle and he put on. He shot himself with testosterone.
Whoa. He got caught. Yeah. We must be very clear. They were all cheating, and he got caught.
Yeah, but he got caught holding the bag.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying,
Shane, there's a name that hasn't been said on live shows for a very long time.
He's got a great podcast, by the way.
Has he?
Oh, yeah. Brilliant.
Good, okay, good for him.
So the enhanced games, like I thought Mbulelo was coming on. I wanted you guys to weigh in on this. So this guy, Australian visionary, he says, why should we take science out of sports? If the Olympics are about peak human conditioning, let's throw in science. Let's not be afraid of science. Let's put these people on all the steroids. Let's put these people on all the drugs. And let's push them to their max.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, we can take this into another sphere, and I'm sure both of you will agree with me. If they come up with smart drugs tomorrow that enable faster neural activity and you're able to remember more and store more and be able to access more information than ever before, or if Neuralink comes along and it's an absolute winner and you can pick up a language like Oppenheimer did and speak in that language fluently within 15 minutes, of course you would do it.
Take my money.
Right. Even if it does shorten your lifespan by like 10 years.
Yeah.
Someone sent me a thing on Instagram yesterday about who would you rather be? The guy who becomes a CEO at 25 but dies at 35? Or a guy becomes a CEO at 50 and dies at 90?
Oh.
You know, you got to think about these things. And that's just about money, obviously. But if you could know things that you don't know and things that you could never know, and you could suddenly upload that information and just absolutely, not for the purposes of impressing anyone else, but for your own learning, your ability to absorb information, to pick things up, to be able to answer questions, to be able to figure things out. Wouldn't you want that over almost anything?
You know, I've got a short list of things I hate, as you know. But the one that really, really, really irks me about human beings is, and in particular myself, is when I don't reach my potential. So absolutely, like that one is, you know what, I would take all of the money I'm saving for the children I don't already have to pay for that. Like, you know, like they can go to school on the streets as far as I'm concerned. If I can get Neuralink and it works.
you will sacrifice the rest of humanity.
I'd steal from my mother.
All right. So what is this guy doing? He's gonna start a parallel games.
No, he wants to start the enhanced games. He's calling it the enhanced games. He's not calling it the steroid games, obviously. But obviously, it's these juiced up guys. So there's going to be powerlifting. Put all the steroids you want. Pick up all the weights. There's going to be guys running like.
Who's going to watch the actual Olympics?
If we have this,
no one's going to watch the Olympics. No one's going to care what happens at the Olympics. Oh, but I got the real record. Well, so what?
So what? This guy got juiced,
and these guys are putting more on the line. Because they're taking a chance. They are the experiment.
Skin in the game.
Pushing it to the, but is this actually going to happen? I mean,
no. He's launching it. This guy is some Australian guy. I'm sure Gareth could read a story there. But this guy's some Australian guy. He has the money to do it. It just needs approval.
Oh, you want me to read a story? It's a nice way to drop this in there.
Problem is, all right. There's going to be all sorts of ethical things.
Yeah, there's also going to be a sorts of ethical things and how you can push the human limits and whatnot. But come on, we got away with what?
Okay,
have you seen Dana White's new thing? Power slap. We got away with slapping people just clean out.
So yeah, and that worked like a charm. People loved it, right?
Exactly.
So his name is Aaron D'Souza. He is an entrepreneur. He has been a venture capitalist, a tech entrepreneur, and a man whose newly created online biography features his inclusion in the 2014 Australian men's style magazine's Men of Influence list. He's Australian, but we won't hold that against him. He said, if I wanted to make money, I would continue to do that. So he says he's doing this because he wants to see science triumph.
Yes.
You know, during the pandemic, you remember this, Bulelo. Everybody's saying, trust the science. Like the science is a solid thing that never changes, that you can't improve upon it, that it isn't peer-reviewed, that science doesn't supplant science at some point, which always happens. But it seems in sport, we've decided, no, we're going to draw a line here because the apes that we descend from must still be the only means by which we measure people's abilities on the sports field or track. Now, this guy's saying, and I think quite rightly, why? Why stop there? If we can put artificial springs in where their calf bone is, let's do it. And let's see them do the high jump on that.
Well, did you see the
Even
guy?
if they break their legs upon landing, and let's say they can't walk for the rest of their lives, but wow, if they're prepared to take the risk, obviously it must be consensual.
Yeah. Like what Mulelo said, science is about what? Mistakes that lead to betterment in human advancement.
Yeah,
so
right.
once we find out, who knows? Maybe we'll fix.
Let's chase some progress as a species again, instead of just trying to collect the people at the back and make them feel part of things.
Exactly.
Yeah, status quo. So now, did you see the guy who made himself taller? Like he literally had his legs stretched.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Did it work?
Well, he's alive.
Is he in great pain?
I don't know him personally, but it looked horrendous.
Yeah,
he literally had his legs stretched.
I won't do it.
No,
but if you want to do it.
No, but Gareth, you're already like 6'3".
No, but forget about me in terms of height. If they want to do these enhanced games, I'm not a good candidate for that. We've got to take people who are already athletic and have prowess and say to them, listen, you want to be a bit better?
Like
here are the risks.
Usain Bolt runs the 100-meter. Seven.
Here are the risks. So take the guy who came fourth in that race and say to him, listen, you didn't do too badly, but you're never going to beat Usain Bolt. Except if you come with us to our laboratory and you let us do whatever we want to your legs and to the rest of your muscles and everything else for the rest of your life, you've got to sign this waiver, and these are the possible dangers.
For the rest of your short life.
But I mean, what else you got to? You're going to be written into history as the guy who came fourth.
No,
who's going to care?
Exactly.
Be a part of the future. Be a part of science.
What I would do is let's just start with the Australians, like you said, let's just test it out on the Australians. Like we've already got a test group that most of us don't like. Test it out on the Aussies, including the South Africans that went there, by the way. We don't want you back. And you get in the mix. And let's see how it goes from there. So I'm all for it, as long as we start with Australia.
Well, parallel parking didn't take long to say men pretending to be women tend to do very well in women's sport. That's the beginning of enhancements.
Right.
We're on the right track.
Like, remember Russia? Like, why was Russia banned from the Olympics? Because you had women
in the
70s. In the 70s.
And they had East Germany.
Yes.
East Germany was the best. They had guys.
East Germany, because they were on the Soviet side of the wall.
They had women. I mean, I say guys. They had women. This is long before there was any kind of transgender movement. And don't let them try and grandfather that shit in. Okay?
Don't try to co-opt the movement.
Long before any of that happened, you had these women. There was one called Kritichnov. I can't remember her name. Anyway, this woman, she could run, jump, fight, fuck, wheelbarrow, drive a truck. She could kickstart large airplanes with a single small movement from the knee down. She wouldn't even have to move the rest of her body. Anyway, this woman was a phenomenon, and she was one of the ones who was banned, I think. She made, I mean, like Bruce Jenner doesn't even try with his voice, but she didn't have to. She was like, who's the guy with the glove in the Avengers?
I thought you were going to say Darth
Thanos.
Vader, but you think it's Thanos. Yeah.
She sounded like Thanos. I shall pull my glove on. I shall have total power. That kind of thing. She was something else. Wow. I kind of miss that.
Exactly.
I feel like sport hit a roadblock.
They say in sport, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So
it's part of the prep. Yeah, like what is, like, let's go back to Gary Player. What is luck? Preparation meets talent. Exactly.
I'm all for it.
So preparation. Can I prep for this? Can I be on EPO?
Meets opportunity.
So opportunity or
I
something
can't
like
remember. So all right, Max Sony says, Gareth, remember Synapsal? Not sure the correct spelling. The Brendan Cooper movie. It was called
Limitless.
Limitless.
Yeah.
What a great movie. I'd love to give that a shot. Brain works at optimal levels. Well, I mean, that's a fantasy movie, but you don't know. There are people who are already trying to experiment with things like Provigil and Concerta and these sorts of things. And for some people, the results are incredibly good. They're able to enhance their memory for a specific amount of time when they're writing exams or whatever. I'm not seeing the miracle drug that I want to take. But as soon as they find it, I'm in. Those experiments I'll be in for.
Sign me up.
Don't do the stretchy ones. I don't want to do those. But yeah.
No. On the science side, we are getting there. But like, we're not improving current humans. But like, there's this thing called CRISPR, right?
Yes. This is gene editing.
Exactly, gene editing, right? So obviously, the left runs with it about, you guys are going to make designer babies and white blue eyes. But we can literally solve diseases like hemophilia, where genetically speaking, we can delete this gene or this mutation that makes you lesser than suffering from this disease, and we can take it out and replace it with a good gene, and then you're better. Now imagine once we solve the medical problems, all of a sudden now you want your child to have blue eyes. There you go. Just throw that in.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
eugenics.
Well,
eugenics.
Yeah,
Don't drag us.
How do you feel about that? Because that's taking it to its logical conclusion.
CRISPR.
Mm-hmm.
Met the lady who started it. Hell of a thinker. So I'm on board because she seems to want to do good, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of.
Yeah, but it could be used for evil.
Yeah, it could be used for evil, eugenics. But come on, like, science needs to evolve, Gareth, and then we will think about the consequences after. Like, let's drop the atomic bomb and then let's use the research.
Ooh.
Yeah. Here's the thing with human beings. As much as it's quite cool to say, oh my God, did you know these people? Oh my God, human beings we're the worst creatures. We're actually not. Like, when tested, we actually lean towards our better selves. So we'll be.
There are varying opinions about that.
Well, there are
left to their own devices. Some people are terrifically disappointing.
No, agreed. I mean, these are also not Joe Blow, who's smoking weed with his cousin right now. We're talking about the smartest of the smartest people that have ever lived here, and generally smart people try and do better. Do they make mistakes? you know, people get blown up here and there.
I don't know.
No, people get blown up. Hiroshima is not just a blow up.
I don't know that I don't know that Joseph Mengele was a necessarily good addition to our race.
No, fair enough. But do you know how I know human beings always save human beings? There's 7 billion people alive now. So when tasked with, do we keep us alive?
Well, it's only because through history, we've just managed to kill significantly, a small group fewer than we managed to keep alive.
Well,
that's all.
And that's enough, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, that's not a conversation for now. It's lots of people saying it's good to have Bulelo back. So this is an interesting one because we haven't talked about you and Elon. You used to be a huge big fan. I don't know if you still are. But the Twitter limit, are you in any way upset about this, Bulelo?
No, who's upset? Like, oh, shock horror. Businesses have to make money. Like, what are we doing? And also, is social media your life? Get outside, fatty. Get off your couch and go and do something.
It's not holding back this morning.
Why are you scrolling on Twitter all day anyway? Like, Twitter's meant to be a useful tool, and I love Twitter, but if you want more tweets, go and pay for it.
And if you can't pay for it, then try and buy the company. Otherwise, you don't get to set the rules.
Don't use it. Like, what are we complaining about? The fact that a business has to make money. Like, is that what? Because that's really what people are saying. Is I don't want to pay my $8, right? Go and pay for it.
3 grumpy guys are on the table. We said this yesterday, Gareth. This generation is entitled. We had a listener yesterday, Mulelo, who was really upset.
This generation. How old are you again?
No, you're like 15.
Yeah.
But we had a listener yesterday who was really upset about Twitter. He even went like, "Oh, imagine if YouTube limited you to 20 minutes. Like, then pay if you want the service. Then pay for it."
You are not evolved to look at screens anyway. Go and do something outside. You know what's hot? Go and get some friends. Well, like, what are we doing? Why are people so upset? Oh my God, I can't sit on my screen and eat processed food. Is that what, like, those are the kinds of people that are complaining, right?
Yeah.
Active people that have a job and families to raise are probably fine with it, I would imagine.
I don't think those people have the time to care about it.
That's what I'm saying. Who are these losers that are whinging?
No, these are the same losers that we are keeping alive. This is why we need the enhanced games. These are the same losers. These are the participation kids. This is the Hey Buddy generation. Hey Buddy participation.
From one extreme to the other.
We're going into some dangerous territory this morning. Even I'm going, whoa.
If Gareth is the moral conscience of the show, I don't know what has to happen.
Then there's a problem. Yeah, there's a big problem. Okay, so there are a couple of other things that we do need to cover this morning before we get to a catch up with Sean Sanders. We'll do that in a moment. Apparently, the petrol price has been lowered, but the diesel price will be raised.
Is that good or bad? I never know. I don't know.
No. It's good because it's good for the people making money because what do you need more now? Because there's the load shedding. Generators run on diesel.
Well, that's exactly why diesel's gone up.
Exactly. Demand supply.
Yeah.
This is an economic math, like an economic sum.
So on Wednesday, unleaded petrol will be cut by 17 cents a litre. 93 will be lowered by 24 cents a litre. Diesel prices will go up by 12 cents and 18 cents a litre, depending on the sulfur content. So that's not great news for diesel cars. I know because I just swapped cars and now I'm driving a petrol car and it cost me a whole 400 Rand less.
Do you still have that big cruiser you used to have, or what do you have now?
Diesel guzzler.
I'm currently driving one of Phil Kutz's motors from DeWitt Motors. It's an GLA.
Very
nice car. Very nice.
G for Gareth.
G for Gareth.
Hey,
LA, Los Angeles.
Let's go, baby. So you really got a GLA?
Yeah, it's not mine, but it's
Malibu Gareth.
I need a lift home.
Okay. Shem, are you still on foot?
Of course.
I mean, the man runs everywhere.
He used to walk and run, yeah.
He runs everywhere.
I'm probably going to walk home. But Gareth, in case you've forgotten, I'm a working class hero. Please go on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. All right, but this is, as Matthew says in the comments, worse for food prices as well. So there's some
trucks.
Useful information. Yeah, trucks.
Well, sorry. Can I just jump in there? I know. Matthew, it's not the worst thing. I read a statistic the other day from Willstat. 30% of South African adults are obese. So maybe not the worst thing. Go take a walk up there, fatties.
And you're saying we should be starving a little more.
Well, walk. He's saying worse for food prices, eat less. We're in no place to comment. There's 30% of our country's obese. Why are we not revolted by that?
Listen, you're preaching to the choir here.
All right. So we are
preaching the converted.
Anyway, I don't want to now turn this into a fat bashing show because I know you have loads of ammo in that.
Okay, no. Let's not fat bash, right? Let's compliment politicians doing their job. I did hate it for a minute there, but he was running a nanny state. Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi, he lowered the sugar content in Coca-Cola because he saw.
You were for that?
Well, it's good regulation in the sense that our people, black people, are guzzling this thing like it's water, like it's running out.
No, it's not just black people anymore. There's fatties everywhere.
And you're content for some central control of sugar.
For some, no, he put a tax on it. So Coca-Cola was incentivized. Yeah, so Coca-Cola was incentivized to change their recipe to make it just a bit healthier. That's little bit counts.
So we'll decide for you what's good for you.
But
That's what you're saying.
A little bit counts, Gareth. A little bit counts.
But how do we do it? Because fatty at home can't decide, Gareth. 1 out of 3 of you. What do we do?
What did you say the obesity rated?
30% of this country. It's 30% of adults. That's 1 in 3 people.
No, let's just get back to BMI because they keep changing the rules here. What is obese?
I think it was 22% and over back in the day. I don't know.
22% body fat.
Yeah. No.
Well, then I'm obese.
So I think you're part of the problem.
What do they do? They do the height and the weight thing, right? And then if you hit a score above 25 or something like that, then you're obese, and then you're morbidly obese. But you can't say these are bad words, Gareth. You can't say obese.
What are we meant to say?
I don't know. You're supposed to say we can't call them fat. We can't call them obese. I don't know what we call them.
What are you saying, Bulelo?
No, fatty. I've got I have no time, particularly for somebody who's got the information, being
because that's not something that's thrust upon you.
Thank you.
I don't think there's any evidence with all the love in the world and empathy and understanding.
Yeah, thank you.
Portia Modisa told us that's important. There's no hard evidence that there is a genetic component to this which cannot be overcome.
In fact, the evidence is to the contrary. So we're evolved to store fat for the difficult times. We no longer have difficult times, right? Relatively speaking. So this is why we're eating. So all you have to do is be a grown-up and control your food intake. Like, it is not that hard. And there's this thing of, yes, but what if I'm depressed? Hey, don't come at me with the bullshit. I have a mother who's a psychiatrist. It's a single percentile for people that are actually depressed globally. And she used to work for your favorite organization, the United Nations, globally. It is a single percentile. So don't give me the depressed shit.
Like, very hardcore.
Can I counter this? There is a genetic population that, I am for put the fork down or walk more. If you want to, like, it's very easy to stay not fat. Just put the fork down and walk more. But now there is a genetic component to it, Bulelo. If you have hypothyroidism.
We've done the thyroid, and there's great medicine out there. So we've sorted that one.
There's great. No, there's not great medicine, but these are people who have like a legit struggle where hypothyroidism, you have your metabolism metabolizes stuff less and you store more fat. This is science fact. But like now we need to look at the numbers. How many people have this?
Single percentile.
Exactly, a single percentile.
No, I know all the excuses. Sorry, it's
not an excuse. It's fact.
I know but that's the hypothyroid.
I think we should all do a boot camp, and you should be the general,
like the drill instructor.
Listen, if you're at home, right, the hypothyroid thing no longer exists. We are past that. The medicine is as like giving you a B52 shot. It's out there now. Like, don't give me hypothyroid. It's bollocks.
It's not bollocks. It's not bollocks. Like, go back. Why is have you ever looked at a packet of salt? A packet of salt, every salt in South Africa sold, again, government doing good things, it's iodine. Yeah. Exactly, because iodine is a component that needs for the thyroid to run properly. So we iodidated our salts because we found out that our people have a lack of iodine.
But they've been doing that since like the 50s.
Exactly, they've been doing that since the 50s because people were developing hypothyroidism, not hyperthyroidism. Goiters and whatnot. And people were being fat. so then
the Spanish flu's got me.
I'm wearing this jersey today because I'm trying to hide my goiter.
You should be trying to hide your poop more.
Gareth, what's wrong? Your neck's wobbling.
But but there is science behind this stuff. But like, again, how many people suffer from this stuff?
Okay, we're not going to. None of us are doctors, and we're not going to solve for X this morning. But it's not. You don't have to be a doctor to talk about this.
Yeah.
We all have opinions on it, and it's something we should all have opinions on because you're in charge of your own body.
And also, you're affecting me as a taxpayer. That's why I actually care. It's not about your health. It's when a country is unhealthy, the taxpayer pays for that.
Right.
No, nobody else.
Right. Okay, so a couple of things. I've just got to tell you this story because I actually can't believe it. This is from Mexico. No, really.
It's your disdain that I love.
As onlookers clapped and danced, the mayor of a small Mexican town entered into holy matrimony with a female reptile in a traditional rite to bring good fortune to his people. Victor Hugo Sosa, who's the mayor of San Pedro Humalela, a town of indigenous Chontal people in the Tehuantepec Isthmus of Jesus Christ,
Is
of
this a
Mexico, took as his betrothed. That's not the worst. That's not the made up part of this. He took as his betrothed a reptile called Alicia Adriana. She is a caiman, which is an alligator-like marsh dweller, endemic to Mexico and Central America. And he says, we love each other very much. He's married this reptile. Here's a picture. So, I'm not making it up. There she is in a wedding dress. This is unbelievable.
What?
Yeah.
No, there's, I mean, I have female friends that are telling me all the good men are taken. Here's my man. Come on, pal. What's wrong with Mexican women that he's gone to?
No. He did it for his people. This is a guys. Look at it positively. Positive light politician. He wants good fortune for his village, so he
married the reptile.
He married the reptile to please or appease the gods.
A man of a people.
The man of the people. This is the type of politician we need. Look at him.
A superstitious, backward alligator marrier.
But what does his people want? Good prosperity. This man delivered that. That's what they voted for.
All right. Hey, when is Wimbledon?
It started this week.
Are we watching it in Bulelo?
Probably not. It's just Novak left. I mean, everybody loves Alcaraz, but it's Novak.
Novak is running away with it.
No, he's the guy.
He's like Sampras was that guy for a while. Then Federer was that guy for a while. Then Nadal was that guy for a while.
Nadal was there for like three times.
Novak's the guy.
Yeah, Novak's the guy. Yeah. Novak's gonna break all the
as
records.
much as he's an unpleasant bastard, but he's the greatest.
Novak.
So no, so I'll tell you when to watch. Next week, Saturday and Sunday. It's the final.
The finals. Yeah. Don't bother with anything.
Nah.
All right. I know people who watch Wimbledon. They cannot get enough of it.
Can I tell you, if you are starting to do well, and your life's going well, and maybe you got the divorce settlement, having been to Wimbledon twice, it is an unbelievable experience.
We've never been. So.
Gareth, you tell the story about your parents going. They also come back with the story. Everyone, like Kaya's Tole went to Wimbledon. Wimbledon it's an experience, apparently.
It is.
It is.
It really is.
It is. You also have this history.
I don't think that like the French Open has this.
No,
I think that the
French
US Open has
French
this.
are bastards.
What is the French Open is the Roland Garros.
Yeah.
Like it's clay. Clay is boring. But Wimbledon
there's some very categorical statements being made here.
No, but Wimbledon's got all the great storytelling. The rest of them struggle to tell their story. It's just like a great tennis players gathering. Who gives a shit? I've got TV for that. Wimbledon's still romantic.
So supposedly the four different, they're all on the same level, right? Grand Slams. But it seems to me like Wimbledon is the really attractive proposition.
Wimbledon is the crown jewel.
That's what they want.
They've done the best marketing, which is ironic.
I did hear that Venus got knocked out. Yes, I didn't know she was back.
Again, who cares? Look, Venus Williams. We've moved on.
She was a big deal.
She was.
No, but remember, she got ill. Serena's the one you want to talk about. No,
but she's not getting back in.
No, she's done.
She's getting all the babies.
She's buying everyone now. She's got lots of money.
She's hanging around.
Married an old French dude.
She's hanging around with Meghan Markle, right?
Hey, your favorite.
I'm sure you've discussed her podcast getting canned. Eh?
Oh, shame.
What a dumb bitch she is.
Oh, geez.
No, wait. Before we talk about canceled podcasts, they also canceled Obama.
Harry's just as bad. Yeah, they canceled the Obama because no one's listening to this nonsense anymore. No one wants to be preached to by very, very spoiled, very privileged people who are talking about things like mental health. Most people have real problems. And I just don't think that there's any way that Meghan Markle or Barack and Michelle Obama can make a connection with ordinary people anymore. They live in such extraordinary circumstances that they're not the same.
You know, and for the liberals, here was a chance. You know, from what I've read about Michelle Obama, is she's a brilliant legal mind, right? Didn't she go to like Columbia or whatever?
She did.
No, she's also fairly radical politically. Yeah. She's way more radical than he is.
Sure, but here was a chance for her to perhaps be the black face of public-facing legal matters, and here's how the law works, or something actually interesting. What I want to hear from somebody who hasn't had to make a cup of tea in 30 years for herself about how to face challenges of raising a child. I would imagine, also, or whatever nonsense. Like which aisle to go in if you want your left shoulder to be cool.
Let's go back to Meghan Markle here, MKT. Let's go back to Meghan Markle.
Remember when Meghan Markle?
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. But remember when Meghan Markle was like in asylum because they run away from the royal family and they're so hurt and they're so depressed and they're sitting in Oprah's house because Oprah borrowed them a mansion and we're supposed to feel sorry for them.
Montecito.
Come on.
All right, I'm going to change tack here because we've been waiting for an update from our friend Sean Sanders, who's at Revix. And Sean sent me a message the other day. There was a press release that was put out, and he's going to clear up all the questions this morning. He is here to discuss a situation that they're in. And Sean, it wouldn't be the first that anyone in your line of business has been in. But tell us what happened. Revix.com for people, especially those who have investments with you guys. There are people who are very, very worried for various reasons. The first thing I need to ask you is what exactly happened and how are Revix customers impacted?
Morning, Gareth. Morning, team. So on the 13th of June, not too long ago, just over 2 weeks, a partner that we utilized to custody a portion of our crypto assets based in South Korea, they called Haru Invest, they effectively halted withdrawals. And we needed to investigate the scenario. We've engaged with them for an extended period of time. And we came to the position where we said, we're not sure if we're going to be able to get these crypto assets back over the next few weeks. So let's rather do the responsible thing. Let's do the ethical thing. Let's go out and let our customers know about this. Of course, you know, it's the news that can damage a brand. And it's our job now to talk to the public about this, make sure that we're transparent, and then recover the funds from Haru. And that's exactly what we're aiming to do. So as things stand now, 24% of our crypto assets, that's Revix's crypto assets, that's obviously the custody, the crypto that's held on behalf of our customers in custody, is sitting with Haru Invest. And
24%.
24%. And 76% of all the crypto assets on the Revix platform are immediately accessible. So you can log into your account, you can withdraw that full balance, and naturally all cash balances on the Revix system are immediately accessible. So we've put that in place as well so that the customers that we have at Revix, they get the best outcome possible. I mean, the situation, and I don't expect anyone to look at the Revix situation right now and to go, okay, well, they're doing the best thing they possibly can. I mean, at the end of the day, customers have funds that are impacted. But the reason we've done what we've done is so that customers do have access to the cash that they have on the system, albeit 76% of the crypto assets, rather than an immediate halt of all the withdrawals on the platform. Now, Haru Invest, which is a South Korean entity, they were thoroughly vetted by Revix. I must just mention this. We engaged with them for over a year. They regulated in Singapore, they regulated in the US, and they regulated in the EU. So this wasn't just a nobody partner. But our approach at Revix has always been to diversify our custody of crypto assets across different partners. And I mean, this is a situation we take very seriously, and we want to get these crypto assets that are held with Haru back as soon as possible.
I mean, thank goodness you did diversify who you hold your assets with, because otherwise you'd be in potentially an even worse situation. So 24% of the funds then not available for withdrawal at the moment, as per your relationship with Haru, but the rest is instantly available to people and their money is not unsafe there. So let's move on to the next thing. What is the timing and probability of getting the funds back from Haru?
So it remains uncertain, and I can't promise any Cliff Central listener or viewer that there is a particular date that we'll hear back from Haru. We have had engagements with Haru over the last few weeks. They have been responsive to requests, and we're hoping that remains that way going forward. They've indicated, being Haru Invest, has indicated that they are preparing to initiate some sort of a withdrawal procedure. I mean, we need to see that in writing. We actually need to see those withdrawals actually happen before I can make any commitments. So unfortunately, you know, we'll keep our community up to date and our investors up to date, but it's just not possible to commit to a date right now.
obviously unforeseen things that have happened here. There's no one who could be 100% safe in anything like this where there are, amounts of money moving around. But what has Revix done to ensure that this kind of thing won't happen again?
So it's if you think back to, let's say, the Silvergate, or more well known, I guess, as Silicon Valley Bank. I mean, these are established, regulated institutions. Now, Hurry Invest is not a Silicon Valley Bank or a Silvergate. I mean, it's a South Korean partner. It specializes in the crypto space. But what happens often is that you have third parties that cause problems for other businesses, right? So, I mean, if you're engaging as a business with a South African bank or with any other party, you've always got a third party reliance. So our strategy has been to reduce the reliance on the third parties. So we've immediately gone to sign an agreement with Fireblocks. Fireblocks is one of the largest crypto custody technological solutions that exist out there. Effectively, it's software that allows you to custody your crypto assets yourself. So we're proceeding with that engagement where we'll look to custody a significant proportion of crypto assets ourselves. But we again want to take the approach where you need to diversify across different areas. So you want to diversify across different custody mechanisms. So we are engaging with one of Africa's largest banks, and we're hoping that that announcement is made pretty soon, because they would also be looking to take a very significant portion of our cryptocurrency custody going forward. And I think maybe just something else important to note, of course, this is terrible news, and we're doing everything we can to get these assets back from Hurry, and we want to rectify this situation. I mean, the reason I'm on today is I want to rebuild the trust that I think has been shaken now with customers and tackle this head on. But Revix remains operational. We are protecting all the rest of the funds that are on the Revix platform. And the fact that we've made the other 76% of all the crypto asset balances of the platform available immediately means that we're continuing on. So feel free to reach out to our customer support team. They'll be able to get back to you very, very quickly. And if you have any other questions, of course, we're here to help.
Right, so people can actually engage with you guys directly, and especially those obviously who have assets with you. JP says, appreciate the transparency, Sean. Sorry this cuck happened. But, this is also the nature of business. Sometimes things go your way and sometimes things don't. And obviously we're rooting for you guys because many of us have investments with you, and you'll keep us updated. Of
course, it's our job to keep you updated on how things go. And we appreciate all the support. I mean, our job is to get this money back from Hurry. All these crypto assets back from Hurry. So that's our job going forward.
Awesome. I appreciate you being on the show and explaining that to us in your own words. Thanks very much, Sean. Nice to have you on.
Thank you very much.
Dude.
Have a good day.
Bye. There we go. Sean Sanders and Revix.com. So, Bulelo.
I can rock with that.
What's that? Just go.
I can rock with Sean coming on and being transparent. Not because he's, I want to be very clear, is I don't work for Cliff Central. I do not get paid to say this. Is
not anymore.
Not anymore. No, I don't. Hey, Gareth?
Go on. No, you don't.
And I love that he's being transparent when things are difficult, because how often do we see really juggernaut banks? I mean, you think of what happened to the banks. I still haven't heard from a CEO from any bank since 2008. I still haven't heard I'm sorry. Oh my God, here's what happened. They've hidden Mr. Steinhoff, right?
Yeah, where is he?
No, but for real. They
hasn't
never
said a word.
But here he is, right, to his clients. And I'm not saying whether you must stay with Revix or not. What I'm saying is you got to appreciate when shit hits the fan that the guy's willing to, here's my face. I want to address it. I'd much rather deal with a guy like that than a lot of these other
the word
cretins.
we're looking for here, accountability. He's owning it.
Yeah,
he's owning it, good or bad, he's there.
So I dig that. I like that in people.
Well, we hope there's a good resolution here for everybody concerned. And obviously there's a knock-on effect in all of this, because one company, something goes wrong there, then they obviously are representing a bigger company who's representing another. And then there's all these dominoes.
Exactly.
Now that anyway, look, I really hope it goes well, because Sean called me the other day and he was saying, listen, we've got to explain this to people, and it's not an ideal situation, but I want to talk about it. So here he is this morning on the show to talk about it, and it seems like a lot of people appreciate his transparency this morning. So thanks, Sean. All right, Mbulelo. It's good to have you back. A lot of people are thrilled in the comments section. Tell us what's next for you and where you are, and whether you're going to come back and visit us again, because it clearly was a tour de force this morning.
if I get invited back, of course.
Well, we'll see about that. Hey, Bakh'abantu.
I don't know. But like I'm like Mulela's my spirit animal. I want him back every day. All
Look,
day, every day.
I'll let you guys, as the ANC would do, discuss internally, investigate yourselves.
I will launch a commission of inquiry on this Mulelo issue.
Fellow South Africans.
A stakeholder meeting.
Cyril loves us. Fellow stakeholders. So no, it's been amazing, man. I'm running the podcast, the MKT show, but I'm back. I'm producing a lot.
Good.
I'm trying to take some time off.
And if you see someone running at a very early hour of the morning, it's probably him.
Yes. I am training currently
because you see the other side of the sword of criticizing fat people, like you and I sometimes do. All the time.
I'm always doing it, yeah.
Is that when you are out of shape, they have a massive cudgel to hit you back with.
And
so you're holding yourself to a very high standard here.
Because you can't be brilliant at everything, right? I want to hold that sanctimony for as long as possible, Gareth. So I want to be sanctimonious in that. So my God, am I working on, because I'm so conscious of what you're saying.
Yeah.
The last thing I need is old Sally Boo going, oh.
You think I eat too much ice cream.
Look at
I eat too much ice cream. Look at your fat stomach.
Yeah, and you know,
look,
and women can get personal. Plus I heard your penis is small. Holy smokes.
Women, I gotta say, women have come in for a very hard time this morning. It's been an all-guy cast this morning, and if there are ladies that are upset, don't panic, because Nabang will be back, Pumi will be back,
yes,
Leanne will be back, and Simpiwe will be back.
I thought we agreed we're not calling them women, Gareth. What? People
no.
with bonus holes.
I'm just pointing out that we have representation.
Yes. Because you need what do they call it? A feminine energy, just to bring the growth down.
But there is some merit to that.
Yeah,
there is some merit to that. If it was all men, all we'd do all day is compete and fight,
it
kill
would be
each
a
other.
Dick measuring contest.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good.
And we need,
you guys were accused of that earlier, like having an intellectual battle, which is like a dick-sized contest.
But check on the fatties, Mulelo. We can't call them fatties anymore. Just like parting words, they're called plus-sized.
Plus size. That's what you got to learn to say.
Plus-sized.
There are things I refuse to learn to say. I will not say that, because you know what? My father.
You're so ornery.
No, like. Here's the thing. I'm very clear about my life. In my family, I am the dumbest person, right?
Yes.
Purely because I have the lowest academic achievement. Like, it's crystal clear.
You could have 3 degrees and not be particularly bright.
I mean, by the measure we've all kind of
you know in your family.
No,
where
I know. I'm the
in.
fourth dumbest in my family. I'm not going, well, my potential will. No. I'm the fourth dumbest person in my family.
Yeah.
Like, it is very clear. I have no problem with that. I'm at peace.
By the way, just speaking of women, we discussed this with Leanne yesterday. There's a group in America who are desperate to be very politically correct. They've decided that women aren't really women. They are people with bonus holes. Don't forget that. So there's something for you.
I love that.
So if you're not going to learn plus size, at least learn to be less disrespectful to people with bonus holes.
Bonus holes.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Isn't that
we need to learn these new languages. It's no longer mental illness, Mulelo. I heard you throwing the D word around. Yeah. Such a triggering word. It's called neurodivergence.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yes. But thanks for having me, Gareth. This was amazing.
What we're going to do, it was lots of fun and people have loved it, so we will have to do it again. But we will start a new segment on the show where we learn the language that is acceptable. Okay, because I think the 3 of us, there's room for improvement.
I would agree. I would.
Bakh'abantu is just going quiet. He's like, I don't know so much. All right, thank you, everybody. That's all we got time for. Great to have Bulelo back, and we will see you on tomorrow's show, 6 a.m., bright and early. Lots of good stuff headed your way. Make sure you check out all the rest of the stuff on cliffcentral.com.